Welcome to DubLife Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host, and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up, because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. All right, welcome back to DubLife Diaries. Today's guest grew up in a VW Caravel, surrounded by guitars, drumsticks, and a beat that never stopped. From rhythm to restoration, this guy's lived a life full of passion, both on stage and under the hood. Marcel Smit, welcome to DubLife Diaries.
Thanks so much.
So a couple things. Number one, the Volkswagen Caravel, for those that don't know, because I have a lot of air-cooled, folks, it's the passenger van that was based on the Transporter chassis, I believe. It may have been, it was based on the Transporter for what I saw and what I remember. And I got a cool story for us because of how we met. So when I started this podcast, I started looking all over the world for Volkswagen enthusiasts. And in South Africa, I was fortunate enough to run across a company by the name of AfriBeetle. And I reached out to them and I started, having dialogue with Marcel here. Marcel is the marketing manager for AfriBeetle. So we connected and we hit it off. And then I had a podcast interview already with the owner of AfriBeetle. And then Marcel and I stayed in touch. So that's kind of how this happened and how we connected. And again, before we dive into the podcast today, I do want to thank my two sponsors, Volksmania magazine. I feel the flyest VW magazine on the face of the planet. www.volksmania.com. Check those guys out. If you subscribe in the U.S., I don't have any other discount codes yet outside the U.S., but U.S. subscribers, DubLife 10, DUBLIFE 10. That'll give you 10% off your subscription. Check them out. Also, Salty Dub, all things VW Coast related. Salty Dub, we're on Facebook under Salty Dubbers. Also, the website, www.saltydub.com. All things merch and apparel for VW enthusiasts. Check those guys out as well. Mr. Marcel, back to you, sir. Paint the picture of your childhood for me, because reading through your stuff, I know you're a musical family. You're packed into this VW Caravel. Tell me what the energy was like for you as a child coming up in an environment like this.
Thanks, man. Yeah, to me, everything was normal. You know what I mean? Having a combi or microbus, and my dad being in bands and music and stuff like that, that was a day-to-day thing. It was never a strange thing. It was always normalized for me. So I only realized that it was a bit of an out there way to grow up when I got older. Because since I can remember, I used to wake up Saturday mornings, get into the Caravel, and go with my dad to go and pick up all the music equipment from the venue he played at the previous night. And we had to pack that microbus full, that Caravel full, and I'm like 6-7 years old. Yeah, so that Caravel was very much, for me, it was a big connection between me and my dad. I think it started there because my dad also always in music. Like my dad, he bought the first combi he bought was the T2 for 500 Rand back in the day, which is probably like $15 or something. And like he told me there was a big rust hole in the roof, and he fixed that and restored that combi from the bottom up. So that was always inspiring for me to have that combi and freedom sort of feel and vibe together. Like I grew up in music with my dad playing in bands.
Is your dad basically your introduction to music? Is that because your dad was in the music scene?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
He was the leader of his band, and he had the combi, and that's where all the gear goes, and that's where all the band members go on tour. So it felt like a home, you know what I mean? A traveling home. without being a caravan.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. How long did your family own that Caravel?
15 years? 15
Okay.
years?
Wow.
No,
Got some good years out of it.
there was a 2.7i fuel injection. Very, very heavy on fuel.
Yeah. It did well for you though. It stuck around for a long time. Is the
Yeah.
is the family a Volkswagen family? Did they get something else that was a VW after the Caravel or
Yeah, my dad also, he loved the Opel GSI, the Superboss, those 2-liter 16 valves. But we always seem to get back to base. Um, and that is the classic VW way to go.
growing up in an environment like that, music, Volkswagen, how did it shape who you are today? Because now you have the professional side, your marketing, etc., but it's all centered around a classic Volkswagen. So there must have been some type of or some level of influence there, right, to make you want to do that. But how did it shape who you are today?
Well, from a music side, obviously, I grew up with the music. I would wake up on Saturday mornings and my dad would be blasting live DVDs from Toto to Van Halen and stuff like that. But the VW was always there to take you where you wanted to go. Yeah, when it comes to road trips and the music on the road trips, and on 11, 12, I was in charge of burning the mixed CDs. Not making the mixtapes, but burning the CDs. So I would spend hours and hours
Gosh.
planning the best 12 songs. Start big, go a bit soft, and then build up again. So a journey upon a journey, if I can, doesn't sound too
No, it's
rough.
funny though. I remember doing that too. I remember one thing that you used to lug around with you, in the late '90s, early 2000s was your book of CDs. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
you wanted to
Mm,
have good tunes, man. You had to bring it all.
yeah.
You had to bring a few genres. You had to So, I remember at times in my childhood, one of those books would get stolen out of my car or something, or
Mm,
I'd leave one at a buddy's house. And it's like the way you feel now about your cell phone. Like you can't leave home without it. My
mm,
CDs used to be like that. I couldn't leave home without my CDs. So
mm,
when we got into copying and then burning songs and burning CDs, I
mm.
totally vibe with that. I remember that. That's
Yeah.
funny.
It's totally different to now. There was a lot more, I'm gonna say, gravity put onto, hey, this song or this album was amazing. And you had to work to get that type of music. Like you got your music or new bands from friends, which you would share and then become a fan like that. Now it's just you have easy access to everything, and that sort of lost the value or the importance of how much effort actually goes into being a good muser.
That's a pretty good point though. And you write your own music and you play instruments too, right?
Yeah, I was always like a lead guitarist. So
Oh man, yeah, that's special. So
yeah,
and you write songs too, right?
yeah, like my solo stuff is all instrumental stuff. So it's like hard rock with a lot of soloing. Yeah, where I would write all the drums, bass, keyboards, and all those type of things, and then record, mix, and master. So I'm
You
used to doing a lot, attacking a lot of different roles.
Yeah, in music, and it's cool to talk about that because a lot of folks might not really know what all goes into a song, you know?
Mm,
If you're not into music and you're not inclined in that aspect, you can't expect them to. But
mm,
my brother did sound production as a computer engineer when I was
mm,
younger, and
yeah.
I used to see people go to his house and record. So I would
Oh,
know like how many times they had to go through one, 16 bar, before a chorus, and then how many times they would have to revisit it and edit and ad lib and just, it's like, wow. So you're right. A lot of
mm,
effort goes in there.
yeah.
Do you write lyrics too?
That is a bit of a strange thing because even though I'm a writer, I don't, I don't like writing lyrics or poems.
Okay, that's fair.
Mm,
But I wanted to ask that because I thought you have this creative outlet through AfroBeatle to do, the marketing and the branding for them. And I mean, it's so effective that
Mm.
you found me in the US and in Tampa and St. Pete, Florida. So that's kind of cool.
I was very lucky that way to get in to get in with AfriBeetle because I studied copywriting at AAA School of Advertising there in Cape Town, and one of my hero copywriters was is Bill Bernbach from America, a Jewish American. And when the VW Beetle came out, he got the account for VW. He wrote VW Lemon ad that all of us know. So, and where do you get to work on and be creative on a Beetle in 2025, bringing back that passion and feel and sort of different perspective of calling your new released vehicle a lemon. It's a nice tone of voice to play with and work with. And there is, for me, there's a wide range of people and the community varies, but we all are fixed or have this one thing in common that brings us together.
I want to talk about the scene because that happens for us, right? Like, doesn't matter what your background is or what you
Mm,
do for work professionally. The
mm,
VW community in this area brings a lot of people together, a lot of people together. And I think inside of kind of the direction where you're going, I want to touch on that, but I got a couple more questions I want to touch on as South Africa as a whole, where you're
mm.
at, the cultural landscape, how it's influenced you, there. But I also wanted to talk about the connection between doing what you do professionally right now and then utilizing what you did prior, right? Like music, writing music. How does it correlate? You got to love what you do, right? If you don't love
Mm,
what you do, you don't do it for long. You
mm.
find something else. And I feel like you found a good outlet that allows you to be artistic and creative, and it's around things that you like or that you even love potentially. So, how does the connection between your past mix with what you do now for work? And kind of talk to me about music, the passion, and then the passion that goes into restoring cars.
So, if we start with the music, when I got my first instrument, I was 13, and I wh- when I got my first guitar after struggling with my dad to get me an instrument, which was very weird that he was such a full-time musician, but I finally got my guitar, and there was no stopping me. I knew I was going to make it in some way. You know what I mean? I would I would wake up early before school, practice for 2 hours, then go to school, do all my homework at school so I can practice music all the time in the afternoons. And I like to get lost in passions that they don't have a final goal. It's always something you have to work on and grow. And so after joining a band when I was 19, then I started playing professionally. I played overseas, all over South Africa. We toured. We went to play those contracts in Dubai and India. But then it became a bit of an office job because we would play cover music 6 nights a week. And I was looking for a new creative outlet. And I found that in copywriting, uh, and writing in different tones of voices and, like I say, storytelling that connects with people. People don't remember just features of something. They remember how it makes you feel.
Oh yeah.
And I think that is why Volkswagen has such a emotional connection with people.
Yeah.
It's because, or it sticks with people because there is that emotional connection to the memories and what those vehicles brought more than just being a Chevrolet Spark.
And we see
But,
that,
mm,
constantly in if you're in a Volkswagen, if you're driving in one, or, you always have the people that stop and that
yeah,
smile and that tell the stories and that, it really is what you said. It's a celebrated past. and everybody has something they can attach to, a way that it made them feel, and that's what they always describe. They don't talk a lot about a situation. They talk about a time that they felt a certain way, right? They compare, "Oh, that was the first kiss I ever had was in a orange Beetle," or, something like that, and it's like, because they felt that, but
Oh,
yeah, yeah, I
uh,
vibe with that.
in my mind, it's almost what humanity should be, that we connect and can speak, friend, meet strangers and be friendly and understand each other immediately.
Yeah, love that.
With, yeah, without any political, or religious, or differences and those type of things.
Yeah. Yeah, because,
Mhm.
those all come beliefs are shaped from how people get raised. What
Mm,
what their influence is, not necessarily truly what they're inspired by, but typically we are taught behaviors and
mm,
inflection, right, when we're young, and it helps shape who we become. I like being able to be around other people, other cultures, other religions, and even though I have an opinion,
mm.
it's supposed to stay with me, right? Like, you're supposed to have thick skin and be able to take shit on the chin, and you're supposed to be able to exist in the world and not be like somebody that constantly cuts against the grain. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Uh,
exhausting to be like that.
yeah. For what was eye-opening to me was I thought I was open-minded back in the day. But when I went overseas, we went to the UAE for the first overseas contract I played, and then we went to India, and it opens your eyes to such wide variety and different cultures, and you have to get to know the people who they actually are. It opens your mind to understanding the wider world, if I can, if that sounds correct.
Some people are very small-minded.
Mm,
And yeah, when you have that expansion and the opportunity to have that expansion in your life, and that's really truly what it is. It's an opportunity to be able to see past the confined walls of what you're taught.
mm,
God,
mm,
there's so much more to life. Oh, there really is. So,
mm,
your childhood shaped who you are. You're doing what you love now. You're obviously you're good at it. Tell me the
mm.
story on how you got into AfroBeatle, and kind of what brought you to now.
Well, I was in this restaurant having a beer on my own, and I heard this guy talking, this older guy, but he sounded like he really knows his shit. You know what I mean? And he was talking about the Beatles, and like you could feel this magnetism of his passion and the insight he has about the VWs, the Beetle, the Combi, and the beach buggies. Sort of the same way, like we were, I think, we were meant to meet. It was sort of that meet cute with Mr. Chris Beetle, because it is such a interesting and enlightening place to be with a guy that has so much experience and passion for for something that you have a big interest in.
Sure.
So a lot of the times I would just take in information as much as I can. It's not that I'm going to learn what 44 years of knowledge and insight in half a year, but I try. You know what I mean? I want to become an expert on everything.
How long have you been there?
Uh, we've I've been here about a year now.
Okay.
Uh,
And what's happened in that year through your marketing approach?
it's like anything, eh? It grows. It grows. Your insight grows. Your knowledge grows. And especially now, this while I've really, I think I've gotten to know our target market very well. Because obviously, like we said, the stories that they share, uh, like we always try to invite our clients to come and visit us here on the AfriBeetle headquarters, and we would sit and speak for hours about our passions and our stories. And it's a great place to be. It's an inspiring place, I think, and that hopefulness. I think that's what brings it back to the mutual love for the iconic Beetle, Kumbi.
Tell me more about the digital side of this, because it's a very unique perspective, especially for a car guy. I'm not a
Mm,
marketing person, right? You get the privilege of being both. You're a car person, a Volkswagen person, and you're a marketing person. Tell me, what role does storytelling kind of take in the digital marketing space, or
mm.
even in the VW culture today?
Oh, yeah. So when when I started at AfriBeetle, I because I looked up to well, I look up to Mr. Chris Beetle, and I still do, and I'm learning and I'm growing, and I want to because I AfriBeetle has a unique feel and how it offers and works with clients, but it was all in the real world. It's special and amazing, but I wanted to bring that uniqueness and unique insight and expertise onto the digital side. So I think about myself as the digital side of AfriBeetle because I think you need both. You need both. You need the in the real world solid advice and guidance. And then, yes, I wanted to bring that feel and way of thinking to our digital side. That was my goal.
I think it's working. Like you said, it's growing. And you have, I guess, a clear line in the sand for results. You're getting them. So that's awesome. I don't think they say Rome wasn't built, in a day. So,
Mm.
you know, it, stay after it. Right now in the shop, I don't know what a day's work looks like for AfroBeatle. I remember the first time we connected and I chatted with Chris,
Mm.
you guys you do restoration, but you also have a rental side, right? Where you rent Beetles.
Not at the moment, but we are building up to that
Okay.
side of things.
So right now
Which
you're restoring. Do you take a classic Beetle, restore it, and then sell it, or does a customer come to you and say, "Hey, here's my car. I want to have this car restored." Like, how does your workflow take place there at AfroBeatle?
it does vary. Sometimes clients would come in and they wanted to restore it from the bottom up. That talks, that speaks to the floor pan, building a whole new floor pan, welding in new plates, blah, 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 a new upholstery, interior lining, total respray, a reconditioned engine. But then again, one of my favorite cars we brought in from a client recently was from Klerksdorp. He has a 1959 Beetle in pristine condition, but we are just working on the mechanical side of it.
Okay.
And it's a 1100 6 volt
Wow.
and not a 12 volt. So it's a totally different way of looking at it and making everything work with a 6 volt system, which it always stays interesting. And that is why I love music too. It is never, I know everything now.
Yeah, I
It is
like
always,
that. I like
mm,
that you tied that together. That's kind of what I was trying to say earlier was where's that marriage, in the passion. Do you guys have many builds or anything in the shop now that stand out?
like I said, this 1959
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
little Beetle, 1100, it's a lovely thing.
I have a question I want to ask about. I don't know how much experience you have with this, but Chris blew me out of my chair in our first
Mm,
conversation when he said he has a private collection. And
mm,
the private collection was, I was thinking, 10, 15, 20 cars. He's saying, no, 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 no. It's a lot more than that. So,
mm.
for anybody that's listening, this private collection of old classic VWs, have you seen it?
I've never heard about it. I don't know what you're talking about.
So we're going to do it like that.
Yeah. I was actually the only one of two people outside Mr. Chris's family that has visited that warehouse.
Yeah, and something else he said that blew me away even more was that, "Oh, I don't just have the cars. I've got every model.
Mm.
Some of them times 2," he said.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Dude, that that is absolutely awesome. What an awesome thing to dream about, those cars
Mm.
becoming available one day."
Yeah, it is. There's just a certain energy around that whole collection. Yeah, because you can feel the thought that was put into caring for that, caring for those cars and selecting them and putting them together and taking care of
He was saying
time
he
and
had he was saying he had the '60s models all the way through into the '70s, all times two,
mm,
buses, Gias, Beetles. I'm like, dude, man, wow.
all the common gears.
Yeah, amazing, actually. Really, truly. One day we'll hear about it. We'll hear about,
Mm,
maybe somebody seeing it or getting it on camera or something like that. But that's cool. I don't want to talk too much more about it because Chris said let's keep it quiet. So
mm,
I respect that. I just wanted to ask if you had ever seen it with your own eyes. So
yeah.
cool thing.
I'll take you one day.
Yes, yes, that'd be so cool, man. In the shop, do you
Mm.
work with customers too?
Yeah, yeah. So my side of things is I like to build that trust with because it takes a lot for a new website to come up and then people to trust it to actually send over their money and you send them parts. And especially in South Africa, there are so many scams. And to and my job is to build that line of communication that they understand and feel comfortable with. So I would build up my campaigns and share my insights or try to build on insights that I learned from clients from the bottom up in person and then sort of not it's not the hard sell. You don't want to sell it, hey, buy this, buy that. It is all about giving advice, guidance, assisting, helping people get to their goal
Mhm.
of having their dream Beetle or beach buggy come alive. What they want out of their iconic or classic vehicle, and like we said, when you drive around in your Beetle, people connect with you instantly,
Mhm.
easily.
It's an unspoken connection. You don't even have to talk about it,
Mm,
especially somebody that has experience there. But
mm,
interestingly, talking about people and,
mm,
making their dreams come alive through the restoration of their vehicles, you have an opportunity to see a part of somebody's life that many people don't get to see. And that would be, the potential day of the reveal.
mm,
When you work on somebody's car for several months and then kind of reveal it to them,
mm.
I imagine that's gotta be kind of an awesome day. Do you guys
Yeah,
have that opportunity? Do you have that opportunity with people?
yeah, because I do I do love working with clients and sharing my passion with them. It is such a special thing to speak to them and work with them because it doesn't take 3 days to totally restore a car or
Right,
one day like pimp my ride.
right. No, that was a TV show. It even took
Mm,
those guys a lot longer than that.
mhm,
But funny though, "Pimp My Ride." Yeah, we know all about that.
yeah, yeah. And especially with older models, it takes longer to the parts are getting scarcer and scarcer.
What does the global VW community mean to you in a short description?
It's a way of reaching understanding and a mutual respect and love for each other. I think if you can think about, I think in Mexico the Beatles called the Fusca from Brazil to America to Britain. There there is just an impact and a shared love that brings everything together. I feel if it's going to be a thing that crosses borders, it's something like that everyone can find passion over.
And again, that's kinda why I started this podcast. I feel
Mm.
like with my openness and my ability to connect with people and communicate and my lack of opinion, lack
A
of
lack of opinion.
lack of opinion. Now I might have one, but I'm smart enough and I've been around sales and I've been around people in business long enough to know that your opinion does not belong in business.
Mm.
There's the good, there's the bad, and then there's your opinion. And
Mm.
it doesn't matter what your opinion is. For you, when you go home and you go lay down on your pillow at night and, that's where it counts and where it matters. In
Yeah, your
business,
opinion is
right,
uh, important to you.
correct, but if you're
Yeah.
gonna be the type of person that's so opinionated that it affects your business life, it affects your paycheck, it affects your ability to connect with people because people are like, "Oh, no, I don't like that guy because he's this way or that way." Like, I have a problem with that if that's what
Mm.
happens, right? Because I don't feel that anybody should be like that. I just don't. I feel like you should be open and
Mm.
respectful, and you should be able to do things like this. I should be able to meet with you in South Africa, and even though you have different views and different everything, we should be able to have a good conversation and smile and laugh together. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and laugh at each other's quirkiness or
differences. Yes.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, I can't believe, why do you believe that? I was like, I
Right.
know, because like, okay. But
Yeah, dude. Exactly. Yeah. Good stuff. What do you envision for AfroBeatle? You're kind of walking in your passion a bit.
mm,
You're getting some traction. What do you
mm.
what's the future for AfroBeatle and your own creative path?
I just want to give you a bit of background there. I like making my own way. Like after high school, my mother wanted me to go to university and study accounting at the University of Stellenbosch. She wanted me to do that, but all that was on my mind was music. Okay.
Mhm.
So, and I made my way to a professional band. And then I made my way and I planned my own band to go overseas. I didn't have any money to go back to college and study copywriting, but I found a way. I like taking on challenges and taking things on in a big way that can make a big difference. Taking on big challenges and making something big. I wouldn't want to just open a small store that sells vegetables. My ideas, I want to sell vegetables to everyone in the world.
So AfroBeatle, you're trying to find a way to make AfroBeatle worldwide.
Yeah, but in a way that connects with everyone. My vision is, because we have certain ways of doing our engines and restorations and things like that. And there's things I want to work on to bring out our signature AfriBeetle reconditioned engines. Because what we share on Development South Africa, I want to share that feeling I have every day when I wake up here and come to work. I want to share that passion on a day to day with other people. Like, that's why I like sci-fi, I guess, like Star Trek and the Orville, this futuristic world where you don't get judged on how much money you make, but you get judged on how good you are at what you are interested in, and how whatever your value is rated by how much you help humanity as a whole, what you can contribute. So that has sort of been my driving force. I could never work for just a big salary and just be a robot and work in an accountant's office
Right.
for 40 years. That was never me. And I think it takes it back to our family caravel in the beginning.
Mhm.
Uh, we want to explore, we want to experience new things, and we want to connect. And that's one thing I found across all the different cultures, is that the one thing that everyone wants is to connect. They want to connect with someone else and share a story. And it's such a simple thing. Don't we all just want to
In
connect?
in one way, shape, or form.
Mm,
That's what that's what the human element desires. It
mm,
desires that connection.
mm,
Some people you feel,
mm,
some people you don't, right?
mm.
You're like, "Yeah, not for me."
Yeah, you
Or
can't be everyone's best friend.
that's right. Yeah, exactly, but it doesn't mean you have to be disrespectful.
No, no.
Alright, I got some rapid fire questions for you. So these are gonna be off the cuff, fast answer. Alright, rapid fire. First VW you ever drove?
My grandma's blue City Golf, the one with the blue and then the white stripe at the bottom that says City. 1300.
If you had to pick one, Combi or Beetle?
I'm sticking with the Beetle. Eh?
Yeah, sticking with the Beetle. Do you have a favorite year or favorite range of years?
I like to. I still stick to the 50s. Eh?
Yeah, okay. So the
That was so
early
really.
early
Yeah. The
1950s with the split window, and then the mid 1950s with the oval, and then
mm,
the 58 and 59 were the first years of the larger back window, and then 60 started the new changes, the marker lights on the top of the fenders, etc. So, yes, good stuff, man.
yeah.
50s
Yeah.
are
I like
great.
the 50 because they are so rare, and the chance that you would actually get one is so rare. Like that has always been my taste without me knowing it. Is that I sort of find myself that I like the things that are the most scarce or that are a challenge to find, and that's why it's such a nice place here at AfriBeetle. Like I get to experience so many variations of years and models and clients and what they think is great and what is important to them compared to someone else. It's an amazing place to be. Yeah.
I bet, man, you're fortunate, and you seem to really like what you do, and that's a plus.
Mm.
All right, if you had to pick a song, one song that you have to play on a VW road trip, what's that song going to be?
Toto, Africa.
Hey, great song, great song. All right, cool, man. I got a question off the cuff again, but I think we're going to get a lot more than a quick answer.
Let's do it.
What fuels Marcel?
I think it's the curiosity.
Ooh,
Uh,
good answer.
I know, right?
Good answer, dude. Curiosity.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
So, yeah, my dad always used to retell the story about it doesn't matter what toy I get. I would play with it for 5 minutes and then I would take the whole thing apart to see what's going on inside. And about 83.5% of the time, I would be able to put it back together and it was still working. And sometimes it didn't work, but I needed to know. And that curiosity mixed with empathy, putting yourself in someone else's shoes and understand how their perspective is different from yours, but you have a commonality between you of understanding and vibe. Next question.
No, I think that was good. You know,
Okay.
certainly an artistic type, you know, we don't always get, the level of artistic approach, artistic view,
Mm,
or less, not as mechanical. Sometimes I have
mm,
guys on the podcast that are super mechanical, right? And
mm,
they can talk about all the compression and all the different mechanical aspects. And then you have sometimes, a writer, a storyteller. Now I have a writer, a musician, and a
mm.
marketing guy. So yeah, man, awesome perspective. And I value
And,
the
and,
perspective.
and that's what I love about getting into AfriBeetle because I'm this creative guy with these hardcore mechanical guys in the trade. It is a different role you have to play from being in a woke advertising agency to working with people that are in the trade. You know what I mean? The hard mechanical engineers and I love that idea that I can fit into and understand this side of the business and give a voice that connects and that perspective. I can connect those two worlds. I like living in the Venn diagram of that.
It's really interesting,
Mm,
to be in that space, almost like an observer. It's almost like if you can envision an outsider looking in to a certain
mm,
situation, right? And it doesn't mean that you're an outsider, but I can relate to it, and I'll tell you how. I
mm,
got into the HVAC business around 2011 trades, and that's what I've done professionally on my professional side. I was a technician first, and then I got into sales, and then I became a sales trainer, and then instructor, and then a business coach, and then an owner, and right. But
mm,
but one thing I have in common with you in that thought is I was an outsider in the beginning when I first chose HVAC as a trade to go learn it. I went to school, I learned it, and then I had to start, right? I became a maintenance technician or whatever. And then you start running calls and you start, entering the customer's home. And this is where I just went, light years ahead of my, other technicians because of my past experiences and my business ventures and just the way that I've been in my life and conducted myself. I did very well, very fast, right? So it was like the mixture, the marrying of the many aspects of things I've done in my life kind of showing up in this one thing that I do now. And it made me very good at it. So I would anticipate maybe the storytelling, the culture, the VW passion, maybe it all kind of ties together and it's like this harmonious,
Yeah.
adaptation to what you do as a professional. But man, I dig it. And
Yeah.
I think that's why we get along.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. The same with me and Mr. Chris. We are also sort of opposites in a way. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. That's good though. That's good.
What do you
Contrast.
do? Like, because the main thing is like he hates technology, computerized car, and I also don't like over computerized cars with iPads as your speedometer and all those type of things.
I'll tell you when I was when I bought out. Okay, I was bought in. I love technology. I'm not afraid of change. I'm not afraid to fail.
Mm.
But when Tesla started locking people in their cars and they couldn't get
Not,
out unless they broke a window or something, dude, I was like, hold on, I'm out. I'm not getting locked in my car,
mm-mm,
with
no,
no way to get out. Nah, not me. Nope.
mm-mm.
Uh,
It's already bad enough when you carry your phone around with you everywhere, and or you're always being tracked or listened to.
that's right. They're probably
No,
listening now. If
it
we
must
mention
feel
if
like, yeah.
Yeah. If we mention something now, it'll show up on our Facebook feed later. That target, that's scary. But tell me this, tell me where people can find you, where they can find AfroBeatle online, maybe even find some of your music. Give me,
Mm.
some Instagram handles or some Facebook, handles.
No, AfriBeetle, yeah, you can visit our website, afribeetle.com. We have a few parts there with explanations of our engines and how we take it on. And then we have our Facebook pages at AfriBeetle, and then on Instagram, afri.beetle. You
That's where
guys
I
can find.
found you. I found you
Oh,
on Instagram, and I don't know, I don't think it was an ad or anything. I think I had made my way over to Africa, and then I typed in South Africa Volkswagen Beetle, and I was just gonna see what Google showed me, and
mm,
Google showed me that Instagram page, almost with the logo that's behind me in my background.
mm.
I think it was a similar, but there was a slogan. What was the slogan? Tell me the slogan again. Did you come up with this slogan?
And it's still the same slogan, and very proud of it.
What is it? Tell me again.
Power in the back, smiles in the front.
That's it. Say it one more time.
Power in the back,
Power.
in the
Okay.
front.
Power in the back, smiles in the front. Awesome. That's like the old mullet haircut. Remember they used to say
Yeah,
business in the front and party in the rear?
yeah, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Okay. Any other shout outs or any other handles or anything that you wanna give?
I would just like to say big shout out to the team here at AfriBeetle, all our guys in the workshop, in the paddle beating workshop, in the office. I think we all shine in our own ways because we can be ourselves.
There's
And the
magic in what
place,
you just said.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a beautiful thing. A lot of people leave jobs because
mm,
that's exactly what it is. It's a job. They don't feel that connection that we've been talking about. And then there are some people that end up at a work where they get to do what they love and they
mm,
get to be heard and they get to be valued. And, that creates a force
mm,
that really there is no competitor. There is no shop that does it better when that recipe has evolved. When everybody's, it's like this book Traction. I think I might have it up here still. Gino Wickman. The book is called Traction. And what it
Mm,
talks about is a lot of leadership qualities, but it talks a lot about leadership and making sure that that you're putting the right person, they call it the right butt in the right seat.
mm,
And how, people can burn out
yeah.
because a lot of times we ask people to do things that they shouldn't be doing. Just because they can doesn't mean they should, and that's really what that book, talks a lot about. But man, I respect that, and certainly
Mm.
shout out to everybody at AfriBeetle, everybody in the shop, Chris too. Chris, one day I'm coming and I'm gonna see your collection, man. One day. One day before I'm gone, all right? All right, Marcel, let me give you this final message to fellow VW lovers around the world. South Africa meeting with Central Florida right now. If you had to give a message or a statement or a final takeaway to VW lovers around the world, what would that message be? What advice would you give?
Enjoy the ride. Life is not a destination, it's the fun of the journey. And, what's more fun than a 4-to-1 exhaust on a 1600 twin port making too much noise for Tesla.
So enjoy the journey. And that's a wrap for this episode of DubLife Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at DubLife Diaries or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. DubLifeDiaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning, and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.